All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Supplier Knowledge Exchange, sponsored by EY. Thank you for joining us this morning. I would like to start by introducing our two facilitators. Gemma Farron is based out of London, England, and is the Deployment and Program Manager for EY Velocity and EY 7 Drivers of Growth. Gemma's role covers program management, IT development, and marketing operations. Gemma has spent the last 6 years working in the EY private team. We're also joined by Joanne Shields. Joanne is an associate director at EY, focused in growth markets. Joanne spends her time facilitating business and technology discussions and strategies to drive results and efficiencies, innovation, and growth. She enables clients' growth in new and existing markets, utilizing tools such as you're going to explore today, the 7 drivers of growth and growing beyond borders. So I'm going to encourage all our participants to introduce yourselves using the chat box, please. And today's session is going to be held in a workshop style sessions. You will be separated into 2 breakout rooms, and our 2 facilitators will walk you through the EY system. There is also a 3rd breakout room for tech support should you need it. And with that, I will let Gemma and Cheryl take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you for inviting us today to meet your network. It's a real pleasure to be here, and thank you for the introduction. Before I hand over to Joanne, I'll just give you a bit of a rundown on what we'll be covering today. It is an interactive session, so thank you everybody you've all registered for Velocity, which is the platform we'll be using today to go through the 7 drivers of growth. So after we've gone through our demo, our introduction and our demo, we will be putting you into a breakout group, and you will be asked to access the EY Velocity platform to do the self-assessment on the EY 7 drivers of growth. So be prepared for that and be ready. As Christina said, we do have some technical support here today. We've got 2 of our fabulous EY 7 drivers support team members, Rini and Prabhat. And so if anybody's having any problems with accessing the Velocity platform, we can pop you into a technical breakout group and they can hopefully troubleshoot and get you back into the main session. So for ready to start, what we're planning to do today is I just share my screen and go through an agenda with you. Here we go. So our session today, we've got the next sort of 90 minutes or 85 minutes, we're going to be covering, after we've done some intros, and I know that Christina, you've asked everybody to put their quick intro in the chat box, but it'd be good if you could just have a quick sort of round robin for us as presenters to know who we've got with us today. Joanne is going to do an introduction to the EY 7 drivers of growth. Following that, I'm then going to do a live demo on how you then go through one of the drivers, which is the customer driver on the EY Velocity platform. Then after that, we're handing over to you. So we're putting you into a breakout, into 2 different breakout groups, and you'll be working on your own to go through your own assessment of one of the drivers. And this is really to give you an experience, a hands-on experience of what the 7 drivers of growth is. It's a real kind of whistle stop, so it's not, it's something that you can then continue to do after this session, and we hope that you do explore the rest of the drivers. And then we will be then looking to, then Joanne and I will be running a sort of facilitated discussion with you just to kind of get your feedback, spark some conversation about your findings as you've gone through this very kind of this self-assessment on the people driver. Then after that, we'll be coming back into the main sort of plenary room as a group and sort of answering any questions that you've got, sort of, and finishing with some sort of, closing remarks and any next steps. So without further ado, what would be really good, I think would be really helpful, and Joanne, if you want to just do your intro as well, is then after you've done that, if everyone could spend sort of 30 to 60 seconds sort of introducing themselves, what your business is, and what you're looking to get out of today, that would be really helpful for both Joanne and I. So Joanne, over to you, and then we can go round the rest of the group.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gemma. Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for your time today. Just as by way of introduction in terms of what the 7 drivers is so I'm just going to take a few minutes to describe what it is and how we developed it and what it does for you. The 7 drivers framework has really been developed to help our clients to develop a strategy for accelerated growth. So, EY has been working with clients, of all sizes, entrepreneurs up to large organizations. And we've been gathering information over 30 years from these entrepreneurs, people that have been participating in our program called EOY Entrepreneur of the Year program, that is a global program. We've talked to a lot of these companies that, are high growth businesses and really work with them to understand how they view growth. Our research shows us that there are really 7 drivers of growth that successful companies need to focus on for sustainable growth. And you'll see this in the driver as Gemma takes you through the demo. So what it does, 7 drivers will enable you to plot your present and future aspirational states of your business against 3 levels of maturity: developing, established, leading, for each of the 7 drivers of growth. We're only going to be doing one today, of course, for the sake of the time, but you'll have access to do all of them if you so desire. And what this does is helps you build a prioritized roadmap around how to close the gap between where you are today and where you aspire to be in the future. What it does is really 4 things. Identifies where you are in relation to your aspirations against each driver. It will allow you to identify if there are gaps between where you are today and where you want to go down the road. And it will also help you by sharing leading practices you can take to close those gaps. You can then prioritize those actions that you define, and that helps you create your strategic roadmap and will enable you to reach your goals. And then ultimately, it will help you drive alignment between yourself and any of your leadership team or partners to ensure everyone's on the same page as to goals, action plans, and how are you going to maximize the success of your strategy. It's really, honestly, I always say this to people, it's really one of the best parts of my job is doing these sessions and working with clients through this process. It's an investment that EY makes in the relationship we have with our clients and suppliers. And it helps them challenge themselves on where they want to go and how they're viewing their growth trajectory. So it's a really great tool for that. And I think Gemma's going to take us through a demo, but I do think it's a good idea if we go around the table and just, I know a few of you put some things in the chat, but it maybe just a quick introduction, who you are and what you're hoping to get from the session. That'll really help us target how we're working with you through this next hour and a half or so. So with that, could we maybe start with, who do we have here? Does anyone want to?
So just for everybody, if you want to put yourself on unmute and you can start introducing yourselves. Who'd like to go first?
Good morning, everyone. This is Zubair. Sorry.
Go ahead, Zubair.
No, I'll go after you. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'm Holly Buchanan, and I'm a second generation in a family business, but leading the business since May 2006. We are importers and distributors of single food ingredients. And so we specialize in spices, in spice extracts, dehydrated vegetables. So we import from around the world and store in various storage facilities. And most of our customers would be large food manufacturers, blenders, big bakery companies, seasoning companies, things like that. So that's my story. And we're we're like 7 people. So do good volume of business, but just 7 of us working together. So Zubair, you're on.
Thanks, Holly, for the intro, and sorry for the interruption. So this is Zubair. I'm connecting from Toronto, Canada, or perhaps Mississauga. We are a HR and IT consulting firm. The way the company is structured is that I partner up with a company called ThinkBig Solutions, which exists in the market for about 15 years. Traditionally, they were into IT consulting and IT staffing. And since I partner up with them, I am leading the team in Canada as well as the sales and marketing in the US. Primarily, we are into IT and staffing, but recently I have acquired a tool which is into more of, job board as well as the ATS system, but focusing more towards the blue collar industry. And we are trying to, enhance the tool at that front. And also we own and operate a software testing tool called Simplify QA in North America. Looking forward to what ENY has to offer for, from the session. Thank you for the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Olu. I'm the owner of Blue Water Sourcing Inc. It's a consulting firm. We provide supply chain management solutions to companies, and we're very small. We just started, so we're just about 5 in the team. And presently we support the federal government and actually Canadian Armed Forces. So what do I hope to get out of this? Just knowledge for growth, to grow from being small to at least being medium, or maybe if there's any partnership that I could leverage on also. Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
We're based in Ottawa.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Babu. I am with Hemetis Technologies Incorporated. We are based out of Mississauga. We have a presence in Halifax also. We started this operation in Halifax last year. We have been in business since 2009. Our primary focus has been in the US till about 2016, and then we moved to develop the Canadian market also, and we are registering year-on-year growth of about 100%. And we are into cloud solutions and the software quality services. These are two big aspects that we are focusing on in Canada. The focus for me in this particular thing is I want to be open and understand what is the 7 drivers and how this can be leveraged to help growth and the software industry in thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Kerr, founder and owner of MedExcel Services. At MedExcel Services, we provide disability management, home health care services, workplace health and wellness. We provide our services to private clienteles, the legal community, insurance industries, and corporations.
Great.
We provide our services based on prevention, integration, and reintegration and reintervention. We also provide our service. We also have a rehab clinic, so we provide our service in home, in the community, or at the clinic, or in the client office, or wherever across Ontario.
Great. Great.
So right now I'm just looking to expand my knowledge and to expand my growth. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name's Sammy. I come from Ram Plastics. We are a 2nd generation, just like Holly, family business. We produce automotive and non-automotive plastic parts. So we currently have about 100 employees, and we ship to about, I believe, 10 countries around the world, including Canada and the US. My goal is to take the company forward to what I call the recession-proof, which means what are the drivers that I can create so that whether it is the 2008 recession or whether it is COVID, to ensure that we're running at optimal production or capacity all the way through. That's my goal, and I want to see how we can grow from there. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thanks, Sammy. Okay, Christina, is that everybody?
Yes, hold on. I think I'm left.
Oh, Peter.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Peter. I'm with a company called Exacta Interpreting. We provide interpreting and translation services. So our clients are the federal government, the provincial government. We work with hospital, clinics, WSIB, police services. So we work with about 5,000 freelance interpreters across Canada. And we are a woman-owned company. That's why we're certified with CAMC, and that's why we're here. So our goal is to continue to become one of the main my main players providing this service at an enterprise level, and continue to learn.
Great.
Thanks,
Peter.
Does anybody else want to go?
I think that was everybody. Great. Okay, so I'm just going to check that the platform is still running. It's not gone to sleep on me. And I'm going to share my screen. So here we go. So I'm going to show you how the 7 drivers of growth works on EY Velocity. So thank you everybody for taking the time to register for EY Velocity. This is a platform that we've built ourselves at EY. I was part of that, so I'm very proud of this, but also open to feedback as well. So we've heard it all, so please do share your feedback, good or bad, about the platform, because we continue to sort of iterate on it. As Joanne said in her introduction, the 7 drivers of growth is really at the heart of our EY private strategy. It's a framework that we've built from working with entrepreneurs over the last 30 years to identify what has made them successful. And we've put all of this knowledge into the 7 drivers of growth, and we've developed a tool that we have now, which has been probably our best kept secret. So we use it to have conversations directly with clients and targets in a kind of face-to-face facilitated session. But then we thought a couple of years ago, well, why are we keeping this to ourselves? It would be really good to put this out in the marketplace and let startups, scale-ups, entrepreneurs access the platform and use it like you're going to use it today to benchmark yourself against this maturity model, these leading practices, to really help you identify what your biggest gaps are and how you get that alignment across the 7 drivers. And I thought it was something that I said when the whole session ended, but I think it was a technical issue. So thank you for making the effort to come back. So back to 7 drivers. It's been our best kept secret at EY. We use it exclusively with clients and targets to have traditionally to have a face-to-face back in the day when we could all meet face-to-face, 7 drivers of growth meeting. And we found it was really successful. So we thought, why don't we put it into a platform that we can release out into the marketplace for startups, scale-ups, entrepreneurs to access, for you to be able to build your growth plan, to access the content, and to use it as a framework, as we've used it successfully with over 5,000 different 7 drivers of growth sessions now. Also, the value for you is that the more that we use the 7 drivers of growth, the more data we put back in. So it feeds itself, and it helps us build our insights and our framework to give you a better experience. So what I'm going to do now is, for the next sort of 10-15 minutes, is walk you through how you can access the 7 drivers of growth framework, and you'll then when we put you into the sort of self-assessment breakout session afterwards, you'll go through what I've done, but on the people driver. So I'm going to demo customer driver for you, and then when it's your turn, you're going to do the assessment based on your own organisation on the people driver. And the reason we want you to do that is because we're then going to at the end have a bit of a facilitated discussion about it. But afterwards, you're completely free to then go in and complete the remaining drivers and spend obviously more time on the platform. So I believe everybody's got access to EY Velocity. Now, we have got 2 members of our support team here on the call today. So if any of you are having any problems with your login or any problems accessing the platform, please just pop a note in the chat, and one of the team from CAMC will send you over into a breakout room with Rini or Prabhat, and they'll troubleshoot your issue. But let's just save that while I go through the demo, and then we'll then spend 5 minutes making sure everybody's set up. So Here we are, we're looking at my version of EY Velocity. Now, if any of you have spent any time on the platform before the session today, you'll know that when you first log on, you'll come into what you see as your dashboard. This is my version, it's customized for me, it says welcome back Gemma Fan, but it will be personalized, your version will be personalized for you. The dashboard here gives you a snapshot of everything that we have available on EY Velocity. Now, today's session is about the 7 drivers of growth, but please come back and explore what else we have on the platform. We've got some community activity that we're slowly building out. We haven't got any events at the moment, but this is an area as we develop our platform, we'll be promoting events on there. And we've also bring to you what we call hot topics, which is some sort of research, sort of thought leadership that we think you might find relevant now, and also some kind of like curated, hand-picked resources as well. But for today, we're going to look at the 7 drivers of growth. You see on my version here, it's already starting to be coloured in. That's because it's my demo version. But when you look at this for the first time, it will be these barometers, as we call them, will be completely blank. They'll all be white. Now, and what you'll do is you'll need to obviously hit this button here, which will probably say start because you haven't started your self-assessment. Mine's got continue because I've already got some work going on in it. When you hit that button there, you'll be taken to this page called Focus. And this is quite a useful page to come back and revisit, primarily because of these two little video icons here. They give you, this little video icon gives you a kind of a 2-minute summary of Joanna's introduction to what the 7 drivers of growth is, how it was developed, and a bit of the history of it as a good reminder. This little video here does what I'm doing in 20 minutes, but only takes 2 to 3 minutes. Again, it gives you a very sort of quick walkthrough of the 7 drivers of growth. So if you need a reminder, then come back and watch one of these videos, or please send an email over to the 7 drivers of growth support team. It'll probably go to Rini, or it'll probably go to Prabhat, who are on the call today. We're a very small team. We're very hands-on. The team operate 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. So if you are having any technical problems, they can shoot you an email back and they can help you with your question. Right, so let's get started. Now we're looking at my version here, which I've got set up today for this demonstration. And this is your little meeting area. This is how you manage your growth plan instances here. So if you click on this drop-down arrow, it gives you the option to create multiple instances of your 7 drivers of growth plan. I would recommend, honestly, that you just keep one version going, because unless you're thinking you want to do this across like multiple parts of your business, or you've got various business interests, you can set up different versions. But really, for purposes of today, start with one plan. You'll see that all of you, when you look at yours, all of your barometers or thermometers will be showing as being empty. So these are already coloured in because I've already started my assessment on a couple of drivers already. So let's look at customer as a good starting point. Now, there are 4 steps that we'll go through to complete your assessment. The way that the content is laid out, it's been developed on the basis of what we call a maturity model. So we've looked at, and the language that I'm going to use is really important. We've looked at what we've seen the best developing, the best established, and the best leading organisations do around each of the 7 drivers. So this is not about being good or bad, or right or wrong. We've literally researched from thousands of clients, talking to like hundreds of partners. What have they seen the best developing organisations do? Best established and the best leading. And when you look at this content, I want you to read from the bottom up and think about using this indicator here. Where are you now? Where does this arrow, on this arrow, where does it represent where you are currently in your organisation? So what we've seen the best developing organisations do when it comes to customer, that their businesses are focused on products and service, and there's a real strong emphasis on sales growth. It's about getting your product out there. It's about growing your market. All sounds familiar. When we looked at what we've seen the best established organisations do, we see that their businesses are now starting to be focused on customer satisfaction, and it's really about getting that sort of information, that data, to really drive that customer engagement and start to build relationships with your customer. It's starting to get insightful. And then when we get to leading organisations, typically what we see is that a leading organisation, their business, when it comes to the customer driver, they're really focused on providing that differentiated customer experience. They really want to go over and above. They're starting to try and predict customers' needs. They're using insights, they're using AI, they're using analytics, and they really are starting to deliver that personalised value. So you can see, as we tell the story, how the maturity of an organisation builds. So before we go on, I just want to highlight these where we've got these little light bulbs. So you'll go, okay, Gemma, this is great, but give me an example of what it means to be leading. So what we've done is that we've set our knowledge team out, and they've gone and researched examples from companies, some maybe clients, some maybe not, about how we try and bring to life what it means to be leading, established, or developing against any of these categories. So if you hover over a little light bulb, it pops up insights, and they're not recommendations. It just helps us sort of tell the story a bit better. So this is one of our favorite ones. It's one of our oldest ones in here. This is about Apple, and what we say here is that Apple as an organization, the way that they differentiated themselves in their retail stores, that they started to reward their sales staff or their shop floor staff by customer service, by delivering exceptional customer service and not by sales. And that was really transformational for their business, having that step change in the way that they manage their service, that actually boosted their sales. So when you look at any of these insights, they're laid out in exactly the same way. We say, what was the challenge for the organization? How did they resolve it? And what was the outcome? And what we hear from when we present these insights during the 7 Drives of Growth session, that clients or targets really love them, because often that they know exactly what their own competitors are doing. And what they like to do is they like to look over the walls and see what other businesses are doing that are in other sectors that they can apply to themselves. So there's tons of insights in here. So please do take some time to have a browse around and see if any of those spark any interest. So you've read the maturity model, and then you think, right, then the first step is to determine where are you now in your organization. So you use the left-hand arrow to indicate, are you in developing, are you in established, or are you in leading? Now let's take, this is just for demo purposes, so I'm going to put myself into the beginning of established in my organization. And then when you pick up the right-hand arrow, you want to think about where do you want to get to at the end of your typical planning period. So what kind of planning timeframe have you got in mind? Are you working on a 6-month plan kind of coming out of COVID? Are you thinking more longer term, 12 months? Are you on an 18-month, 3-year journey? What is that time frame that you've got? And just kind of lock that time frame in your mind as you go through this model, because it's important that you apply the same kind of strategic time frame across all of the drivers. Otherwise, it'll be quite hard to kind of deliver on the actions that you pick. So let's say in 18 months' time, I want to get myself into sort of leading aspirationally. That's my aspirational target. Now, the next stage, and this is step 2 out of step 4, is that you take a deeper dive. And we now look a bit closer under the customer driver. And these are called sub-drivers. And under the customer driver, there are 4, and you go through exactly the same process. So let's jump into customer experience. Content is laid out in exactly the same way. We've looked at what the best developing, the best established, and the best leading organizations have done around their approach to customer experience. We take developing organization, when it comes to customer experience, the experience is generally siloed, and it's different across different touch points. When it comes to how they measure customer experience, the business it just periodically measures customer satisfaction. It's not something they have regularly put in place. And when it comes to loyalty programs, often it's just based on an individual product or service or channel that really determines what kind of experience or loyalty that they have in place. As you read up through the model, then again, you can do this yourself, then you look at what we've seen the best established organizations do and the best leading organizations do. Now, there are 2 ways to do your scoring at the sub-driver page. You can either look at this content as a whole on this, under the customer experience sub-driver, or if you kind of want to really narrow down, you can pop out and look at it by these individual themes. So we've got a theme here on customer experience, theme here on measurement. It just helps kind of like chunk that content down into more sort of bite-sized chunks. If you are going to do it by the individual themes, you need to score it at the theme level, because otherwise it doesn't build itself back up to one total score. But at this stage, I'm going to look at mine at the sub-driver level. So I'm going to put here, I want to be in the top part of established, and I want to get into leading. Now, the third step, you need to remember what this gap is here. So this is my gap. I want to come from established up to leading. How am I going to close that gap? We then present to you a list of actions, and these are actions that we've researched, and we've asked organizations and said, what is your approach to really step changing your customer experience? And we've tried to summarize these, and we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 on this page. And so you read through these actions and then start to think about, can you apply this to your organization? Or is this something that you're already doing in your organization? So it starts to become a bit of your to-do list. So you read through the actions, and if you think that this is something that you should be doing, aligning your brand promise with your customer experience, select it. If you think you should be developing and introduce a customer loyalty program, select it. If you've got your own example, and I'm not creative enough today, I'm just going to type in my own example here. You can start to customize this and think, and if you've got other things that you know that you're doing that you want to add onto your list, or things that you're thinking of, you can start to like build in additional actions here. So let's select 4. And then the last step in the process is to think about, well, you've got this to-do list. How are you going to like tackle it? How are you going to work out which ones are the ones you need to spend your time on now, because they're going to make the biggest impact to your business? You know, kind of that thought process. Like, you've got all of your things. Where do you spend your time? So we've developed this simple 2x2 chart, which along the bottom will be is urgency. So how quickly do you need to do these things? And on the left-hand side, what impact will these actions make on your business? You simply drag and drop them onto the 2x2. It can't be any more simpler than this. And what you'll find is that this box here, which we call the high impact, high urgency box, will end up being your busy box. It will be the box where you probably end up loading in most of your actions. And at the end, when you can imagine, when you've gone through all 7 drivers, you'll be there, wow, how on earth am I going to do all of this? There's a lot of things that I need to do. And I'm telling myself that these are all really important because they're going to make the biggest impact to your business. And that's, at that point, I think you then take a step back and go, well, you know, maybe I need to reprioritize. Who do I give these tasks to in my organization? Maybe I need to kind of like take a bit more of a kind of plan it more kind of in a more of a sort of project management way approach. But this is really what this model does. It helps you think about where your priorities are and it's helping you start to build that roadmap. Okay, you hit continue. And we've completed our customer experience driver. Now, how long has that taken me? That's probably taken me sort of a lot of my waffly chat, about 10, 15 minutes to go through. Honestly, it is, we don't really see anybody complete a full driver in less than probably 20 minutes. I mean, unless you're just doing a quick whistle stop kind of like first pass through the driver. So please do take your time on it. The purpose of today's session is to give you an introduction to the 7 drivers, to show you how it works, and to hopefully send you away feeling that you want to go and spend time on this, and you want to work with the rest of your leadership team, with, you know, if it's a family business, with the rest of your team, to help to really get that consensus about what you should be spending your time on, and help you kind of flush out where your biggest gaps are. So today is just about giving you a flavour, giving you a bit of a taster, and but really do spend time to reflect on this. And what you'll find is, and typically what we find when we do this with whole teams, that this is where the debate really comes out, because you'll often find in a group, you'll say, well, actually, no, I don't think we should be in leading. We're in established at the moment. So, and it helps, particularly in maybe more larger organisations, it helps give everybody a voice at the table as well. So it really is a great way to kind of get your team together and get them focused around these 7 drivers, and have a conversation about how to help you get your prioritised roadmap in place and get that alignment on your plan. So I'm just going to whiz through this and just show you what the end result is. So I'm not going to do the action selection for products, markets and channels, or marketing. I'm just going to keep jumping back. So fast forward, and you've now completed all of your sub-drivers. And I wanted to show you this page because this is where it kind of, that light bulb moment goes on. The dark arrows here on the outside of my barometer or thermometer were my initial thoughts around the customer driver when we looked at that first level, that first page. As I've gone in and done my assessment at the sub-driver level, you'll see there's a real variance in where I currently think I am across each of these sub-drivers. I've got myself up into the high part of established. Here I'm in developing, here I'm in the low part of established. when it comes to my aspirational state for the sub-drivers, again, I've got myself in the high state of the high part of leading. Here I'm still in established, I'm in established. So actually, was my initial thoughts around the customer driver, yeah, pretty much spot on for my aspirational state, but maybe I'm being perhaps a little bit too ambitious about where I want to get to, because the white arrows here are an aggregate, or are an average of your assessment that you've done at the sub-driver level. So this is a further kind of check to say, are you happy with those scores that you initially set yourself, or do you want to maybe to recalibrate and bring and adjust, move up or move down your present and aspirational scores? This is just for you. There's no right or wrong. There's no judgment on this. It's just to help you think about, you know, what your gaps are and where you need to be spending your time.
Emma,
yeah.
I just wanted to add one thing. So when you're doing this, I've facilitated some of these sessions where people are talking about where where they belong currently, and there's sometimes some debate about, hey, listen, we've got these kinds of things going on in the developing bucket, but we also do this one thing in the established. Should we be in developing? Should we be in established? And I guess at that point, it's really more a decision that you make anecdotally where you think you are. You can't, you don't want to get too hung up on all the descriptions and having to meet each and every one of those. Would you say that's a fair statement, Gemma?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, and also we've deliberately built the model so you can't put yourself slap bang in between developing and established or established and leading. And and you're right, Joanne, it's about having that debate. It's about there's no score that pops out of this and says, hang on, this is not where you really are. This is a tool for you for organisations to use and to have a conversation as a team to kind of estimate where you are and where you want to get to. But it's really about, there's two things. It's about how you close the gaps, so those actions that you picked and prioritised, and also when you finish this, getting alignment across all 7 drivers. Because look at this plan here. At a glance, the risk driver is something that I probably need to be focusing on. It's probably by far my biggest gap, and I'm in developing and I want to move up to established. Had I completed this, you might find that the rest of, in my example, I'd have neatly got the rest of my drivers all really well balanced, but if there's one that's really throwing me out, then that's where I need to be spending that time. And I think, this is where approaching it from a 7 drivers, it really gives you that a kind of a tool to think across your whole business rather than just focusing on customer, just focusing on people, because sometimes it's the other areas that by spending time on those will help you get that balance right across the whole organisation. Any questions from anybody before I go on? Does anybody want to see anything else? No? Okay, just going to show you one more thing. So when you've completed this, there's a couple of bits of other sort of functionality or utility on the platform that I think might be of interest. If you navigate over to the ACT part of the site and let's go to the overview page. This is quite a good sort of summary of it that we often sort of talk to clients about, is that when you imagine that you've got that 2x2 box and you've got maybe 50 things in that high urgency, high impact box, then we say to them, well, how are you going to manage that growth plan? Well, there are 4 things to think about. First of all, as a team, does your whole team build into this growth plan? Does everybody think that all of those items that you've put in that high impact, high urgency box should rightly be there? And secondly, have you got the right people in your organisation to deliver that plan? Because you can have very aspirational, very ambitious plans, but if you've not got the resources to do it, then you may want to address how many things you've put in that top right-hand box. And then also, thirdly, do you have the budget to be able to fund that plan? How are you going to deliver on all of this change over the time frame that you set yourself? And lastly, can your business absorb this much change? So we've then built in an extra layer, which is almost like a kind of project management sort of layer to your growth plan to help you think about those 4 factors. So if I go down to my growth plan here, and here are my 4 actions that I picked and prioritised. You can hover over each one, and if you open up the little card, it has a first layer of information. You can start to track these actions. So you can come back after you've agreed on what your top action should be and start to say, it's very simple color coding. Red, hello, this is an emergency, you need to fix this now. Amber, okay, this is my color coding. Yeah, we're kind of, there's more things that need to be done. Green, we're on track, we're good to go. You can add in a budget as well. You can start to assign, you know, how much do you estimate you're going to have to spend in order to deliver on this action. You can assign it to an owner. You can give it to someone in your team to do, so you can start to track who you've farmed all of these actions out to. You can give your action a start and an end date. And if you click on this little link here, view resources and tasks, it actually gives you space to start to edit and put your notes in. We've also thrown in some resources as well that we think might be useful for you to be able to align to this action. And if you click on the task as well, it adds in a little task toolbar, so you can really start to break it down. And in one place, in this one-stop shop, not only do you have your plan, it also becomes your detail on how you're going to deliver on it as well. And then we know that everybody always loves a report. So at the end here, we've got an option called My Growth Plan Report, which you can download. You can pop all of the results into a template, download and print it out, and then take it wherever you want to take it. So that's the demo for you, and I appreciate that I've gone through it really quickly. In terms of just to recap, remember, you'll go to your dashboard. When you're on your dashboard, go into the 7 drivers of growth area, hit continue, continue, and you'll be here. And what we're going to do in the self-assessment session that we're moving into is we're all going to look at the people, behaviours and culture driver. There are 5 sub-drivers in there, and we're estimating probably to spend, for you guys to spend about 20 minutes doing this exercise. So it really is your kind of first impressions of it. By all means, come back after the session and you can reset, you can build another plan and do this in more detail. But today, this is just to give you an experience and a flavour of how the 7 drivers framework works for you and your organisation. Okay, so if we can split everybody up into 2 breakout rooms, and I will put in the chat the address for Velocity, and if you can all log on to Velocity and